that was a beautiful index. I had a lot of it. The facility in terms of your Hydron colliders working a lot of the same. But I had a note with the lady. She was talking about Facebook as the index. We had Home Depot, I think, was in there. Well, that was another one. But Jim talking about that Far Side index on what that was. And the last one, we're going to get the Mickey B and the Beast in here when you walk into a crew and it's just like, shit, I'm the coffee bitch for 2 years. Oh, damn. I mean, it's hard to be a stock player and still have to walk into that without knowing the operational models. And so team division slit like that, that's a wobbles account on splits, on slides, on angles, is some stuff that basically still XYZ N1/2 source code. I program it just to do that on the SPAC for tech markets, and it's going to show me where the high and low is. But then there's the Fed index. Then there's the crew index. And Zcoin is obviously a big one. You can make the call without a stock in a company and be like, no, and it will change tickers. That's a point inside of this to Cat OSHA, why we need those bases, why when I see those things she's in here, we're making this play. It's the index of the small cap, not because we're Gravity, because we're Zcoin. It's not matter that I don't trust Cat because people come up missing stuff on the regulations of the build on that thing, Prep Y engineering, that it's like you can't there, that is gonna wreck you inside of there. And when I say that's this, she's in this, these guys are in on this, they're on this, and they're long on that or whatever, they're 52 weeks into this, it's going to say to me that that's still an indicator of got some stuff on it. Maybe I want to play that for a day cap inside of here. These guys have to know at least the base, because I had to do it to track CNBC. I had to track everything on the Peacock. I see those footprints floating around everywhere in terms of Fed law, in terms of standards and procedures, sensible negotiation of Sharpe's cases and how to describe it in a fair model without it wrecking everybody on the double diamonds. Like, if we do this, the stable market on this stops doing something. It stops that thing from kicking while there's a percentageable risk if you're staying inside of it. Trusting them to understand what that system is here, which is a hard explanation when you got the pipes coming at you for internal containment based on that's pretty much regardless of that those similarities between those incidents give me a hyperloop to be able to factor some of the differences between. And of course I'm triangulating it in one index under one function that's super fractalized where I can break out an index of it and program off of that. And it's got a lot, where's the start and the end on the market for where this is. Some people hit differently on what that index is, registered the information on why you have to explain it from I'm a buyer, I'm a business market in terms of I do buy a product off of them, the market cap. That is what I'm buying when I turn something from my house with a drill in the magnetic confinement of a one-dimensional gas. I'm going to do this, otherwise it's trouble about who says what. Any SPAC that's not CEO company, we're going to be here. This is where that is. If I don't get that number 30 days out at this point, the wave functions on heat occasions, saying quantifying what Y F over X is in here in certain programs would correlate to a visual. Now that visual means a lot of things. It can go in many different entropies from that state, but basically the crew here is saying inside here, this is how Hadron Collider works. At this point in time, these are the securest, widest bull market systems that you can possibly have in here, adjusting to how much you will put in on this person's indicator right here that will augment her to then change over, specify it, give you the time, quantify it. We're astounded by the fact that people are still hanging in here. We were expecting a shorter result on what that is to be able to move into a different operation for what they need, why they need it, what the spring and cooling a temperature thing down is, Dyson sphere. And being able to factor the foam theory, neural networking here correlates to physics. I would correlate to Copenhagen. If a teacher in Copenhagen, here we're doing CAT, OSHA, MSHA standards, a 401k standards on what that job would be as a SPAC to come through in a SWAG Incorporated, individual, IMA, workforce, Stanford Sharpe case, and a marshmallow incident, Iraq Ecotopia, right? Because it does not matter where you stand, the alien spacecraft is the same. Those positions equally, the question is, do I sit in one of those chairs? What chair could it be? How does the presentation relative for the maximum entropy under the index A, turn to the question. People want to answer this question. I don't have the result on CNN, and therefore CNN disappears, right? Matter starts to break down. So what's the question? Dark matter. Dark energy wobbles in the system. This parallel system is a stock version. And this spacecraft, if the conversation was CNBC relative to space-time's variable, or how I would begin to negotiate the steps from this differential, quantifying this system in a smooth theory of the function in terms of how to parallel that system and agree with Bell's equality, again, is the hard line for what that is. It's a referenceable mass. You got a start and an end to it, XYZ, but it functioned based on when you get a surprise pop-up Dirac's equation dude in front of you, what do? Facebook, Oculus, simulator programs based on particle collisions, FMA, general relativity, turn into business models, because in today's society, even if you have it, there's still a paper company that does it based on the product that comes out of the ground. And so Silversmith doing some stuff over there is going to say, oh, cat index based on the, eventually those things are just going to be synonymous with real entropy of equations and how that mass gap field theory chemical analysis report of the station asset test being an indicator parallel to the inventory in that form coexist to the entropy of space and heat, or heat and space being one thing, where I can function an index under that Goldilocks zone for a time. From here, momentum continues off of those positions for a certain time, tracking the collision based on what the object is. A very comprehensive science, whether it be in the air turbulence form all the way out to astrology and some of that stuff, or at the macro micro versions of general relativity. Coding versions got to be an output. Can't look at it too far away. These collisions, even they're zero, we're not just talking about the small stuff, we're talking about CNBC here, have to be produced in terms of a value at times that moved a line. And if those lines don't represent, it will look like physics. That's the point of tracking all that. That's S&P, right? Keter territory. You got to figure out, well, that dude made all kinds of money on this system, trying to bang my old lady, fucked up my whole KY class apocalypse, right? But you damn NASA astronaut, Navy